Hello, welcome to the Skynet. We still continue our discovery of nature. Today we're going to put the focus on Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier, 60 miles from Seattle. The snow-capped peak of mountain, which towers 2.7 miles above sea level in Washington state, has not produced a significant volcano eruption in the past 1,000 years. Yet, more than Hawaii's bubbling lava field or Yellowstone's sprawling supervolcano, it is Mount Rainier that many U.S. volcanologists worried more about. Mount Rainier is located in the area that itself is part of the eastern rim of the Pacific Ring in the Ring of Fire. This includes mountains and calderas like Mount Shasta and the Lassen Peak in California, Crater Lake in Idaho, Three Sisters and Mount Hood in Oregon, Mount St. Helens, Mount Adams, Glacier Peak and Mount Baker in Washington, and Mount Cayley, Mount Grimley, Silverthorne, Caldera and Mount Omega in British Columbia. Many of the above are dominant, but could return to activity, and scientists on both sides of the border gather research of the past eruptions of each in order to predict how mountains in this arc will behave and what they are capable of in the future, including Mount Rainier. Of these two have erupted since the beginning of the 20th century. Lassen in 1950 and St. Helens in 1980 and 2004. However, past eruptions in this volcano arc have multiple examples of sub-Plinian eruption or higher. Crater Lake's last eruption as Mount Mazama was large enough to cause its cone to collapse, and Mount Rainier's closest neighbor, Mount St. Helens, produced the largest recorded eruption in the continental United States when it erupted in 1980. Statistics place the likelihood of a major eruption in the Cascade Range 2 to 3 per century. Soil on the Mount Rainier are most gravelly, ashy, sandy loams developed from colluvium or glacial till mixed with volcanic tempera, and the forest cover their profiles usually have the banded appearance of classic basalt, but the horizon is darker than usual, and the meadows a darker horizon usually forms the topsoil. Due to its high probability of an eruption in the near future, the proximity to major urban area, Mount Rainier is considered one of the most dangerous volcanoes in the world, and it is on the decade volcano list. The large amount of glacial ice means that Mount Rainier could produce massive lahars that could threaten the entire Puyallup River Valley and Coatley's River Lake. According to the United States Geological Survey, about 80,000 people and their homes are at risk in Mount Rainier's lahar hazard zones. The sleeping giant, its destructive potential lies not with the fiery flows of lava, which in the event of an eruption would be unlikely to extend more than a few miles beyond the boundary of Mount Rainier National Park in the Pacific Northwest, and the majority of volcanic ash would likely dissipate downwind to the east away from population centers, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. Instead, many scientists fear the prospect of lahar, a swiftly moving slurry of water and volcanic rock originating from ice or snow rapidly melted by an eruption that picks up debris as it flows through valleys and drainage channels. The thing that makes Mount Rainier tough is that it is so tall and it is covered with ice and snow, and so if there's any kind of eruptive activity, hot stuff will melt the cool stuff and a lot of water will start coming down, say the researchers at the Cascade Volcano Observatory in Vancouver, Washington. And there are tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people who live the areas that potentially could be impacted by large lahar, and it could happen very quickly. The deadliest lahar in recent memory was in November 1985 when Colombia's Nevado del Ruiz volcano erupted. Just a couple hours after the eruption started, a river of mud, rocks, lava, and icy water swept over the town of Armero, killing over 23,000 in a matter of minutes. Mount Rainier has about 8 times the amount of glacier and snow as Nevado del Ruiz when it had erupted. There's a potential to have a much more catastrophic mud flow. In the USGS most recent threat assessment from 2018, the federal agency considered Hawaii's Kilauea the most hazardous U.S. volcano. No surprise given how many people live near and how frequently it erupts. On the other hand, Mount St. Helens, which characteristically erupted in May 1980, ranked as second most hazardous before Mount Rainier in the third place. Lahars typically occur during volcanic eruption, but also can be caused by landslide and earthquakes. Geologists have found evidence that at least 11 large lahars from Mount Rainier have reached into the surrounding area known as Puget Lowland in the past 6,000 years. Scientists have not connected the most recent these lahars, which occurred about 500 years ago, with any kind of volcanic activity. A large landslide of mountain's west flank may have caused the flow event, according to the researchers. Loose, weak rock mountain remains in the spot, and it is the threat of similar spontaneous landslide triggered lahar that particularly troubles researchers and volcanologists. Should it be the same size, then it's 10 minutes to the nearest places where people are living and 60 minutes to the nearest large communities, and those are really short time frames. A 2022 study modeled 2 worst-case scenarios. In first simulation, about 260 cubic meters, 4 meters deep, 9.2 billion cubic foot, 13-point deep lahar would originate on the west side of Mount Rainier. The debris flow would be equivalent of 104,000 Olympic-sized pools, according to the researchers, and could reach the densely populated lowland of Ortiq, Washington, about 1 hour after an eruption, where it will be at least a speed of 4 meters per second. A second area of pronounced hazard is Nisqually River Valley, where a massive lahar could displace enough water from Elder Lake to cause 330-foot-tall Elder Dam to spill over, according to simulations. In the wake of St. Helens eruption, the U.S. Geological Survey set up a lahar detection system at the Mount Rainier in 1998, which since 2017 have been upgraded and expanded. About 20 sites on the volcano's slopes and the 2 paths identified as most at the risk of the lahar now features a broadband seismometers that transmit real-time data and other sensors including tripwires, infrasound sound sensors, web cameras, and GPS receivers. The system is geared towards both detecting the lahar should the volcano wake up in the future and the specific scenario of lahar triggered by a landslide. The original system had low bandwidth and low power requirement due to the limitations of 1990s era technology, which meant that data was only transmitted every 2 minutes. In March of 2024, some 45,000 students from Puyallup, Sumner, Bonnie Lake, Ortiq, and Tacoma, Washington participated in lahar evacuation drill. It was the first time that multiple school districts practiced on the same day, making it the world's largest lahar drill, according to the USGS. About 13,000 students were working up 2 miles to designated locations outside of the mapped lahar zone, while the remainder in the school situated outside the lahar zone practices sheltering in place. Researchers said the fail-safe part of Lahar detection system are located about 45 minutes from the nearest large community, making that the time frame with the communities hard to work. Most of what happens to volcano is close by, and that's why you try to keep people away because it happens fast, said the researchers. But Lahar can travel a long way from the volcano and have a big impact. So next time, if you are driving or flying by Mount Rainier, know there's a risk. And the pilots fly very closely to show their customers the priceless view. But remember, danger is lurking. Anytime it's going to explode, we might experience the ashes, and we will never know what the aftermath will be. But eruption is inevitable. Once again, this is Skynet. Thank you for taking the time to watch and also listen. If you live in Washington State, be careful.